It was the early 1990s, and the production of Toy Story, the world's first ever computer-animated feature film, was heading towards disaster. The movie simply wasn't working, the story didn't resonate, and worst of all, the hero was absurdly unlikable.
Hey, you want to be Mr. Mashed Potato Head? You button your lip. Nobody's getting replaced.
The early versions of Woody were negative, insulting, and utterly repellent, according to the filmmakers themselves. He made the movie simply unwatchable to the point where the filmmakers knew something had to be done to salvage the film. Disney was actually getting ready to pull the plug on the entire production just because Woody was so bad. And getting rid of Woody's foul mouth and attitude wasn't enough. Something drastic had to be done, and it called for restructuring the film around a brand new version of Woody. A version who followed a specific pattern, a structure that's as old as storytelling itself. It required pulling off the shelf a version of the classic hero's journey, a method that's built on extremely precise character beats that form a powerful story structure, a structure that could support all the laughs, powerful scenes, and emotional moments we've come to treasure in Toy Story. A structure all constructed around 7 precise stages. Hey filmmakers, welcome to the Filmmaking Notebook, where I teach you filmmaking one scene, shot, and character at a time. If you strip away all the laughs, the gags, the world building, and even the nostalgia, if you break down Woody to his most primal moments, there are 7 specific stages, mostly scenes, that the entire film is built around. These 7 scenes form the basis of Woody's character, each scene representing a powerful stage in his character arc that takes him from a lovable but selfish toy to selfless hero. Toy Story is an extremely tightly plotted movie, with each scene absolutely earning its place in the story. But these 7 stages each represent a pivotal turning point in how Woody develops as a character and how we perceive him and relate to him. So of course, in today's video, we're not only going to deeply examine these 7 stages of Woody's character arc, but we're also going to uncover exactly why these 7 stages work at a story structure level and learn how you can use the same storytelling technique to create your own unforgettable heroes. The first stage of Woody's character arc is actually one of the most foundational elements in all of both storytelling and character design. It's also incredibly simple, and without it, you effectively don't have a story, let alone a hero worth rooting for. So, stage technique number 1. The hero must have a strong desire. This forms the backbone of the entire story. It sounds simple, but every good story follows the journey of a main character. For the sake of ease, let's call him or her the hero in this video, who is seeking to fulfill a desire. Every great story, though, follows the journey of a hero who is willing to give up everything in pursuit of this desire. That desire is the backbone, the spine upon which your entire saga is constructed. If the hero doesn't have a desire, the story simply collapses. And in the best stories, the hero's desire is a matter of life and death. Maybe not physical death, but the death of something he holds dear. In Toy Story, Woody desires nothing more than the love of his owner, Andy. When this love is threatened by the arrival of Buzz Lightyear, Woody will stop at nothing to reclaim Andy's love. Every scene in Toy Story is supported by this desire, and the narrative doesn't conclude until Woody achieves his desire. We see this desire play out subtly in the early scenes, not only in the time Andy spends with Woody, but in the care Woody professes to have for his owner and making sure he is happy.
What matters is that we're here for Andy when he needs us. That's what we're made for, right?
Of course, that claim that we're here for Andy when he needs us becomes the pressure point of Woody's entire character arc, taking him from desperately wanting to be Andy's favorite toy to truly believing that his worth is in being there for Andy. It's the same desire, just transformed from selfishness to selflessness. But nonetheless, that desire in the various forms it takes as Woody grows is the driving force behind Woody and therefore the movie. It's our first stage that grounds us into the story and helps us understand where exactly we are in the, quote, life of our hero as the film begins. But simply having a deep desire is not enough for a story to work. Stage 2 is absolutely essential for the story to become truly real and relatable. So, in stage number 2, the hero's world is shaken up, and he must make a choice. Every story's gotta start somewhere, and somewhere usually means that the hero is living a normal life. And it's totally okay if the hero's notion of normal seems completely outrageous, as long as it's normal for the hero. Like Woody. He's a toy that talks and thinks and has emotions and does stuff. That's not normal. Or is it? But then, something changes. This is a big moment that jumpstarts the plot for the hero. Something changes, or at the very least, threatens to alter his world in an irreversible manner. Woody is loving life as Andy's favorite toy, but then Cowboys are out and Space Rangers are in, and in an instant, Buzz Lightyear swipes Woody's status as Andy's favorite toy, and Woody's world is rocked. So what? In real life, people's worlds are altered every single day. What makes made-up stories so different? This is what separates most of our lives from the lives of our characters. Our hero decides to do something about it. He may want to give up right then and right there, but something, necessity, a sincere longing, even the promise of adventure, gives him the nudge he needs to do something about the change that was just thrust upon him. And here's the key. The decision to take action is always interwoven with the hero's desire. Once Woody is demoted and experiences the oh-so-horrible suffering as Andy's second favorite toy, Woody decides that the best option is kicking his new pal out of the bedroom, or at least behind the dresser. Woody doesn't just stand by and wait for the world to go back to how it was, or for his heart's desire to fall back into his lap. He takes action and makes a life-altering, or toy-altering choice, a decision that he ultimately can't take back. And what exactly is that choice? Well, that brings us to stage 3. And stage number 3 is the hero's actions drive the story and the plot forward, and this is the one stage that is really more than just a single scene. It's usually a collection of scenes that kind of go throughout the entire movie. And what I mean is this, every great story is riddled with push and pull moments between the hero and the forces seeking to stop him. These could be true antagonists, like Sid, or characters that eventually become allies, like Buzz. They can even be other obstacles, like the batteries running out in RC in the climactic scene. But whatever the source of the struggles, throughout great stories, the hero struggles against antagonistic forces in a variety of complications that are making achieving his goal, his desire, feel utterly impossible. Stage 3 is the most unique stage in that not only does it have to be present early, but it carries on throughout the story. Because no matter what the antagonists do, it is ultimately the hero's choices and actions that make the story chug along. If the hero gives up entirely, or simply fails to make decisions, the story either ends, or worse, becomes a boring mess, and I'm sure you've seen plenty of movies that do that. In Toy Story, Woody's choices and actions are centered around his ultimate desire of being loved by Andy. Does he make poor choices? Do some of his choices nearly eliminate all possibility of ever seeing Andy again? Absolutely. But all his choices, good and bad, are directed towards one thing, being loved by Andy. It's why Woody takes drastic actions to try and get rid of Buzz, who he sees as his main competition for Andy's affection. In great films, every single scene has the hero struggling to achieve his goal, and it's those actions which influence the plot, which then influence the hero's actions, and back and forth, and back and forth. Plot influences character, and character influences plot. Think of it this way. Woody doesn't get trapped in Sid's house if he doesn't end up at Pizza Planet. And he doesn't end up at Pizza Planet if he doesn't knock Buzz out of the window. And he doesn't knock Buzz out of the window if he isn't jealous of Buzz in the first place. Without Woody's actions, there's simply no story. The entire plot is driven by Woody's choices, and every scene is doing one of two things. In the first type of scene, Woody has a goal, encounters a conflict, then deals with the outcome. For example, in this scene, Woody's goal is to simply push Buzz behind the dresser so that Andy will have to pick Woody to go to Pizza Planet. That's Woody's goal for this particular scene. But he instead accidentally knocks Buzz out of the window, and a new conflict or complication has entered the scene. Then he has to deal with the outcome. At the very least, the other toys will have nothing to do with Woody ever again if he doesn't get Buzz back. It's a 3-part structure, goal, conflict, outcome, that's centered around a micro goal, making sure Buzz can't go with Andy to Pizza Planet, that's ultimately a representation of Woody's ultimate goal, to be loved by Andy. But there's also a second type of scene. The hero reacts to something, has a dilemma about it, then makes a decision on how to proceed. A few scenes later, Woody is lost at the gas station and reacts as one would expect from a lost toy.
Oh, I'm a lost toy.
He then has to decide how to resolve this dilemma, which he does by noticing the Pizza Planet truck, and then not only needs to make the decision to hitch a ride, but also realizes that he absolutely must bring Buzz with him if he's going to solve that previous problem of the other toys never speaking to him again. It's another type of 3-part scene structure: reaction, dilemma, decision. And I have a challenge for you. The next time you watch Toy Story, or any movie, but let's try with Toy Story, pay close attention to every individual scene and ask yourself this: what is Woody doing in this scene towards achieving his goals? How is he reacting? What choices is he specifically making? I love doing this exercise with some of my favorite movies. It's one of the most practical techniques I've ever discovered for deeply understanding why the best stories work. You can see why every single scene is important, Or in less than stellar films of the world, you can use this exercise to discover why some stories fall apart. It's just a really good way to deeply and innately understand why some stories work and some stories don't. It's a lot of fun. Nerdy for sure, but fun. But no matter how deep these stage 3 scenes go, there's one specific scene that the entire film hinges on, that it's vital to get right, which of course brings us to stage 4. Midway through the story, the hero faces a gut-wrenching truth or life-altering conflict. This moment, often known as the story's midpoint, is arguably the most vital point in the hero's journey. The midpoint is where the hero begins to understand the gravity of his journey. It's the second rocking of his world, the scene where he realizes that he actually might not achieve his desire, that victory is definitely not certain, but that he also can't turn back. And most importantly, he's starting to realize that some of his long-held beliefs might not hold up under pressure. At the midpoint, the hero gains a clearer picture of what's at stake and is forced to reconsider his steps towards achieving his desire. During the first half of the story, the hero is fumbling about and learning vital skills and lessons, all building towards this point. The moment where his focus sharpens and he realizes, albeit imperfectly, what must happen next if he's to have any chance of succeeding. In Toy Story, Woody is forced into the one place all toys, at least those in Andy's room, fear the most, the home of toy-torturing Sid. This is the moment where Woody subconsciously begins to understand that his selfishness is the catalyst which led him to Sid's house in the first place, even though he isn't quite ready to accept that truth yet. Woody's previous jabs and attacks at Buzz Lightyear are absolutely useless in Sid's lair. Woody must now alter both his way of thinking and his actions if there's to be any hope of escaping Sid, much less returning home to his beloved Andy. And this is where the hero starts truly growing as a character. But growing as a character is never enough. For the hero to truly grow, for the audience to deeply feel his primal emotions, we need stage 5. The hero descends to the most hopeless part of his journey. There, he chooses to take what he's learned and seek victory, or he rejects what he's learned and suffers defeat. Up until this point, the hero has encountered some troubling and trial-ridden conflicts and obstacles, but now he is facing the doorway to death itself. It doesn't matter if the death is literal or figurative. This is the lowest moment the hero has experienced yet. The things he's learned, the actions he's taken, the obstacles he's overcome, the decisions he's made, good and bad, all lead to this point. Which means that the hero has no choice but to take all that stuff he's gone through and learned and use it to make the most important decision of his life. This is the final fork in the road moment for the hero. The result of his choice in the scene either places him on the road to victory or spirals him through the funnel of defeat. The outcome of his choice in the scene will change his life forever. In Toy Story, Woody is trapped under Sid's crates, awaiting a certain death, while Buzz is strapped to a rocket, awaiting an equally certain, although arguably more explosive death. This is the moment where Woody comes to terms with the fact that he's been a jerk to Buzz and has acted out of nothing but pure selfishness towards him. Woody could cling to his selfishness and keep looking out for himself, the pathway to defeat, or he could reject his past way of thinking, choose humility, and forge a friendship with Buzz, the pathway to victory.
I'm the one that should be strapped to that rocket.
But no matter which decision Woody makes, he still has the most vulnerable choice of the entire story to make. And of course, that brings us to stage 6. The hero confronts the antagonist. Contrary to the opinion of most Hollywood action flicks, confronting the antagonist does not necessarily mean a knockdown to the physical death duel with a physical villain. However, the hero usually has a final face-off with his nemesis, with an ultimate victory or defeat on the line.
Bob and I don't move till we get the signal. Clear? Okay, let's move!
In Toy Story, Woody spends the second half of the film desperately trying to avoid the toy-torturing Sid and return home. Sid is the major physical obstacle that Woody must overcome. But based on how Woody's character is designed, simply escaping from Sid's house would not have been emotionally fulfilling enough. We need to see Woody put aside his fear of Sid and literally come face to face with the force seeking to destroy him.
So play nice.
But it's not just about facing Sid. Woody could have simply chosen to escape Sid's house and scampered right into the van with Andy and just washed his hands of the whole business. But this is where Woody truly grows as a character, sacrificing his own escape for the sole purpose of saving the toy he had despised only the day before. He puts his life on the line for Buzz, rather than taking the easy way out and escaping to Andy alone. In stage 6, Woody is simultaneously confronting and overcoming his inner struggles and defeating the external antagonist. And whether he realizes it or not, he is nearing the completion of a full character arc where he faces these culminating final trials physically, psychologically, and emotionally, becoming something new in the process. Which leads us to stage 7, which ties the entire movie together. The journey leads to a deep transformation in the hero or the world around him. And sadly, this is where many otherwise great stories fail. We read books, we watch movies, go to plays, and generally experience stories however we can because we want to be transformed. And whether we admit that or not, we truly want to be changed by the experience.
To infinity and beyond!
Those are the times we walk out of a theater and say, wow, that was a fantastic story. It's changed us, even in a small way. But if our hero isn't changing, or he isn't inspiring change in the world around him, what's the point of the journey? If all we're doing is returning to status quo, then what we've really just experienced is a forgettable sequence of events that meant little to nothing to the characters involved, us included. And if a story's forgettable, why waste the time experiencing it in the first place? It's like eating at a Subway when there's a Jersey Mike's right next door. It's pointless. But if the hero changes, or if he inspires change, then this is a tale worth remembering. Change is the capstone of great story, the culminating result of all the carefully crafted scenes, clever twists, witty dialogue, and heart-wrenching moments. The hero's journey is really a vessel to inspire transformation. Transformation is the heartbeat of every great story, and is what the audience will remember long after the curtain closes and the credits roll. As Toy Story reaches its climax, Woody changes from being a self-centered toy to one who finds great joy in being there for Andy when he needs us, regardless of his status. He has successfully overcome deep trials, and while at his heart he is still the same old Woody, at the same time he's something new entirely. A more compassionate, more selfless toy who has learned to gratefully share his owner with the toys he calls friends. But there's one thing that matters more than all the techniques we just learned. These 7 stages form the foundation of many of cinema's most memorable characters and films. Understanding the mechanics and psychology of these stages is a vital component to learning screenwriting and character creation. Many story problems can be fixed by cracking open a story and aligning it with these techniques and stages. However, this is where I have to caution you. There are times when characters do not fulfill one or more of these stages. Sometimes these are simply lost opportunities by the filmmakers, leading to stories that feel flat or unresolved or missing some piece. But sometimes, filmmakers purposefully choose not to include one or more of these stages, or include them in an extremely roundabout and creative way, an interpretation that transcends the rules, and does so to masterful effect. For example, in The Lord of the Rings, Frodo never actually confronts Sauron face to face, but he's continually tempted by Sauron's power through the increasing draw of the ring, not to mention pursued by the Dark Lord's minions across Middle-earth. A screenwriting rule has technically been broken. But if you take away anything from this video, it's this. These 7 stages are not rules. They are principles, tried and true across more than a century of cinema, and as a filmmaker, it's vitally important to master these techniques. Your first story should absolutely try to incorporate them until you have a solid grasp on the mechanics. And if you take the time and energy and pain and suffering to learn and apply these principles in your own stories, you'll have taken a step that few modern filmmakers do, mastering the screenwriting tools that have been used to incredible effect for decades. And then, from there, you have the freedom to break the rules, the principles, as you see fit. Remember, these principles are meant to serve you, the storyteller, not the other way around. But structuring your story with these stages is only the first part of the process. To truly make your scenes explode, you need to learn the art of scene structure, and dialogue, and subtext, and tension. These videos break down several scenes that do this masterfully. But until next time, get offline and go create something epic.